Welcome everybody to the Red Cartel podcast. This is, I think, our 7th or 8th podcast since we started. Today, the agenda for the podcast is going to be, we're going to talk VAR. Some big decisions that are happening this week, more than I think any other week in the VAR world. We're going to also touch on a bit of Slot's tactics and how it changed the game against Liverpool-Chelsea game. We're going to have a little talk about Cole Palmer and can he do it against the big sides. We're going to talk about our Arsenal now out of the title race and actually are they being replaced by Villa? And of course, we're going to introduce a new segment at the end, which I'm very much looking forward to. I think it's going to be good. So absolutely jam-packed episode today. And really looking forward to talking and shooting the breeze with MC Devitt, the one and only. So, MC, how you doing, buddy?
Wow, as I said to you earlier, a bit tired and a bit ill, to be honest. But, still going strong, mate, doing the pod. Still here with you. There's been a load of, craziness, illnesses going round and round and round. I went to go and visit a friend. Not that everyone wants to hear about this, and I've been ill all week. So I'm just glad to be sort of back on my feet. Although, as I left you loads of voice notes, you found out how irate with lots of VAR things.
Oh, it's been a crazy one this week. I think, yeah, we should get absolutely cracky on to the kind of the VAR. What is going on? Obviously affected both our teams in different ways this week, and of course, the Liverpool and Arsenal's title rivals benefited them surprisingly once again. But let's get cracking. Where do you want to start? I mean, we're not short of options. So VAR decisions in the Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Southampton game, the West Ham game, the Ipswich game as well. And I think there's probably a few others that we might miss off. But let's get cracking on what kind of started it all off with all the discussions, I guess, the Arsenal game. As our listeners will know, William Saliba got sent off for, I believe it was like a professional foul on the Bournemouth striker, bringing him down near the halfway line. And the referee, quite rightly or wrongly, I don't know, gave a yellow card, and VAR came in and said, hang on a minute, what's going on here? That's an Arsenal player. We should have a look at this again. So what are your thoughts? Because I can give my thoughts and they're probably going to be very biased. So what are your thoughts on the old Saliba incident?
So, I mean, I think it's going to be quite similar to some of the opinions I have on one of the VAR decisions in the Liverpool game, which is I think it was a red card. I think it should have been given a red card. However, we talk about this all the time, this high bar, this not getting involved, this not re-reffing games. And what's happened here is they've re-reffed games. So, yeah. Madness to me. I get it, but I also thought that, if you were given a yellow card and it wasn't clear and obvious, and again, maybe they can explain it to me and maybe I'm being dumb. I couldn't see anything clear and obvious wrong with that. As in, we always use this example. Well, I always use this example, actually, which was Van Nistelrooy scored a goal against Fulham and he snuck into a massive offside position and it was just given, right? Way back when, obviously, when he played for United.
Yeah, pre-VAR, boss. Pre-VAR.
And so people were like, that's the things we want to get rid of. Get it? Was Saliba taking down a player on the halfway line? That? No. Not for me.
No. I'll probably shock people here, but actually when I was watching the game, I've got a little daughter, and it was around at 5:30 kickoffs, are never great for me to watch because that's around her bedtime. And I was watching the game, and when I saw it on TV, I thought, oh God, he's getting sent off here. He's getting sent off. And then when the ref gives the yellow card, I think, okay, fair enough. The ref might think, maybe it's, there's too many variables here. It's so far out. Distance from goal. is quite far. The player did not have control of the ball or anything like that. So he probably said, yellow card. I cannot see how VAR has seen something different to that referee to get involved. And all season there's a really high bar. You've got a really high bar for VAR to get involved. There may be some actions that you think VAR should send that player off and they don't get involved. A classic one earlier this season with, I think was it Joe Linton clotheslining the Bournemouth goalkeeper, and the ref gives him a yellow card. It is the most blatant red card you'll see. VAR don't get involved, and the justification of that is that we have a high bar this season, and VAR should not be re-reffing the games. In my mind, VAR has re-reffed that game. They've gone and said, referee, you have your opinion. I have a different opinion. So you come to the monitor. And that's not what VAR should be. It shouldn't be a person in the box, I've got a different opinion to you, so my opinion's going to overrule you. It should be, has there been a clear and obvious mistake by the referee? And if there hasn't, regardless of whether it should be a yellow card, red card, the VAR shouldn't be getting involved. But I don't know. It seems to have kicked off an entire weekend of VAR re-refereeing the games, that decision. And it's just a crazy set of circumstances. And it's going to have real, as we'll talk about later with the kind of Arsenal-Liverpool game coming up next weekend, there are real consequences because Saliba's now out for that game. And that's what frustrates me so much, is that I've had to sit through Howard Webb, Dermot Propaganda Gallagher, Stephen Warnock, the idiot, talk about why things haven't been given by VAR, and they've been it's he's got to have a high bar, and that's what we want. We want referees refereeing the game, but if there's a clear and obvious error, then we want VAR to step in. I can't see how there's a clear and obvious error in that yellow card. It's a subjective call. Some refs may send them off, some refs might not, but VAR shouldn't be getting involved in it. And that's my standpoint from that. Not that it was a red card or it was a yellow card. My instant first thoughts, it's a red. But once the yellow card's been given, why has VAR come in and said, and re-ref that incident? That's my annoyance with the Saliba red card. Not that it was or wasn't. It was that high bar shrunk because, put that tinfoil hat on again, Will, because the team that committed the challenge was Arsenal.
Yeah, I suppose so. Like, I can liken it to how I felt when I was watching the Liverpool game. And so it's bizarre because for the exact same reasons, but for the opposite result, I feel the same about the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
And we just want consistency, right? And so if we just want consistency, I know that everybody keeps like buzzword in it and it's just like complain. How are we going to actually solve it? What's the actual solution? Fine, right? And the solution is this: bin VAR then. Or if you're not going to do that, either have every single contentious, as in high-level decision, run through VAR. That's how it has to be then. Because otherwise, it's, again, I'll go back to this thing, letter of the law. Letter of the law has no subjectivity to it. It is simply put, the letter of the law. It is applied by an agent who has no control over what is being applied. But all of these decisions we're going to go through this week have an element of subjectivity to them, which apparently is impossible to get rid of. So therefore, everybody who said letter of the law is either linguistically wrong or trying to describe something that is simply impossible, where you can be doing letter of the law at a subjective level, which in my mind in criminal law is like precedent. Like that sort of like a legal precedent, say, right? So it's like we're going to use precedent here to make sure that this So we used Saliba's red card. Same thing happened in the Liverpool game. Precedent didn't work. Subjectivity came in, and we ended up with
Yeah, but the irony is, Leon, is that we've asked for consistency, and you know what? Two different referees in two different games has seen a very similar incident, and guess what? They were consistent, both yellow cards.
yeah.
But in one game, VAR step in. The other game, VAR don't step in. So actually, what we got on the day was consistency. And I will caveat this: Arsenal were poor. They were really poor that game. We missed Saka. I was saying last week about how much we were missing Odegaard, and we can't keep having these games where we need 35 shots to win the game. And I think that was really prevalent how much we missed Odegaard against Bournemouth. And even in our predictions podcast, I was saying I predicted Arsenal would win, but I said this is going to be a really tight game. It's going to be one of those games where we scrape through. But we were poor, so we didn't deserve. Bournemouth were really good, and they executed their game plan beautifully. But you asked for consistency, we got it. We got consistency. There was two incidents that were very similar in two completely different games, refereed by two different referees, and they both came to the same conclusion that a foul that far away from goal, with the player not in control of the ball, was a yellow card. Both of them. VAR step up in the Arsenal game. Red card. VAR do not step up, even though it happened the day after. So you talk about precedent. We should have been using that as a precedent to say that's a red. They don't step up. So, but let's move on from the Arsenal game, because I think if I don't, I'm going to be here for the next hour just getting frustrated. My overall take of the Arsenal game, by the way, because I know we always talk about our two teams, is that Bournemouth deserved to win. I think even with 11 against 11, Arsenal probably would have scraped to win. I don't think we were going to blow them away by any chance, but that's it. But moving on to the next VAR decision, we obviously had, before I jump into the Liverpool one, we had the Sunday game. So literally the next game, VAR get involved against Man City. That, again, they played poorly. I've been saying it for weeks. Man City are vulnerable. They are not the Man City of 3 or 4 seasons ago that were going up against Liverpool, where they're going to get 95, 96 points. I don't think they'll even get to the 90-point mark this season. And although I say that flippantly, they're not even going to get to the 90-point mark. That was never needed before Man City came along. But yeah, came in and last minute John Stones goal, and obviously controversial. Got ruled out for offside by the match ref. VAR come up and say, clear, that must be clear and obvious. I don't know why it was clear and obvious, but you need to go and look at this again, and they VAR overturn that. So another man in a box overturns the referee's decision. What were your thoughts, Leon, on the VAR decision in the Man City game?
I mean, to a certain degree, you know very well what my thoughts were, because I sent you about 1 million voice notes.
You were not happy?
No, and I'm still not happy about it, because I'm with Gary O'Neill, and I don't care what Match of the Day said, and they were like, oh, it's a different thing to when it happened to the Wolves player who was Aït-Nouri, I think, in front of the goalie at Brighton, I want to say, or Newcastle, which might just be both those teams.
West Ham. It was against West Ham.
See, told you, West Ham. So when they did that and they were saying it was different, I understand that it is different in essence, that the player remained on the goalie. But I'll tell you what, you get ready to run a 100-metre race with me, I'll ram you just before the gun goes off, and then I'll run and see how many times you beat me. Never, because you're a fool. It doesn't make any sense. Bernardo Silva goes, ram. Oh no, I'm out the way, really. And it's so now we can only pay attention to a moment in time, and that's it. We're not taking account to the entire context of the game, what's going on in the box, the flight of the ball and the time that has got like remaining within the game. What we're now doing is saying, oh no, but Bernardo Silva ducked out of the way. How do you know? Were you in the goalie's eyes and vision and seeing where he could see and what happened? Were you? No, you weren't. So it's again this weird subjectiveness. And the high bar was what? Basically, no. Bernardo Silva did nothing. And then after the match, him and Guardiola laughing about it. That's not
Yeah.
funny.
I also and again my point is I think the goal probably should have stood. I agree. I think it probably should have stood. But what I laughed internally about was that how Man City were praised for putting Bernardo Silva like it was on the keeper to give him the barge. I've had 7 weeks of the pundits, Gary Neville and Stephen Warnock and all these boys having a go at Arsenal for the Dark Arts FC, and Man City use it and they're lauded. They're like, oh, this is the most revolutionary thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like, no, that's what you're able to do that. It's not a foul on the keeper because you're able to stand there and you're able to back in.
Nah, what he did was a foul. He took 2 steps and went 1, 2, bam to the goal, and the goalie went oh, and then walked forward and then ducked and walked off.
Are we looking at a stage where the keeper needs to go down? The keeper needs to say, "Oh, goes down holding his face" or something like that. I think maybe that's it. But VAR again getting involved to the benefit of Man City. It just happens too often for there not to be something. I was commenting on on someone's Twitter comment, an Arsenal fan, and saying about it's corruption. I had to remind them, please remember who were manager and managing director of Barcelona when allegedly, and I will say allegedly because it is alleged allegations, they were bribing referees. Who are now in charge of Man City, manager and managing director? Right? It's, once bitten, mate, twice shy, right? But they get a lot, and I agree with Gary O'Neill. And we've been beneficials for it, Arsenal, and so have Liverpool, and probably Chelsea, and Spurs. The bigger clubs do get the decisions. It's much harder to rule out a Man City last-minute goal when they're starting their title charge, or than it would have been if their same position had happened with Wolves. I don't think Wolves were getting that decision. They had form last season. Man City got that goal against Fulham when they did the exact same thing, and they got the goal, even though VAR, the PGMOL, had to come out after that to say, "Oh, we apologise because it should have been ruled out." They don't learn. But yeah, again, I mean, Man City, well done. They fought to the end, last minute goal. I do remember last season when Arsenal were winning by the last minute goals, that all the pundits were saying, you can't keep winning by your last minute goals. You can't keep celebrating so hard for those last minute winners. You're going to burn yourself out. The emotions, it's too emotional. But now Man City are lauded for that. The same thing. So.
Of course, mate, and like I said earlier, all we're praising or hoping for, and what we want to praise, is consistency of decisions. That's the same decision involving the same club at 2 different games where they've done the same thing, even though they apologised for doing it last time. Right now, I know that they should have disallowed it last time and they didn't. And this time they did disallow it and then decided to undisallow it, if that's even a word.
Yeah.
But it's all based on this one part of the law where they say that he's not in the goalkeeper's eyesight. Yet if you look at it, there's 4 different criteria for this. And one of them is, does he affect the player, like being in an offside position? Now, he's not offside, stood on the keeper and ramming him. So by linguistics, he isn't affecting the goalkeeper from an offside position. He's affecting the goalkeeper from an onside position. And he only becomes offside when John Stones headers the ball forward, by which case he's ducked and moved out of the way so the goalkeeper can see, right? They're celebrating it afterwards because they found a loophole in the law, and these cheating back don't need any more. Like, they don't need more loopholes. Like,
alleged cheating bees.
so alleged cheaters, right?
Yeah.
The men who have apparently got a bigger turnover than like Real Madrid almost, and they're the most successful club ever in the whole history of the world, even though they've got like literally a 5-minute history. We'll see. All I'm going to say is the truth will out.
Mate, I might have to get a bell on this show, and I have to ring it every time we go back to the 115 charges. But yeah, but yeah, it's a crazy one. It's another VAR interference coming in. I don't see what's clear and obvious. I don't see what the ref can't see in that. The ref can see where Bernardo Silva is. The linesman can see it. So what can't they see? And I did like Gary O'Neill's. I mean, he was very reserved. If I was him, I wouldn't have been so reserved. But I think he got all of his annoyances out last season and realised actually that they don't listen. So I'm just going to have to take it. But he said a very interesting thing about when he tried to speak to the referees association, because I never say PM. What is it?
PMOL.
Yeah, it's a right tongue twister. They said to him, "Oh no, because he's in the vicinity of the goalkeeper, yes, and Bernardo Silva is there, and you've got to think like, look, I've never played professionally, but I have been in goal when I'm playing football, and if someone's moving near your goal in your eye line, your reactions are stopped because you don't know whether the ball's going to go to that player and he's going to bang it in. You're not working out whether people are on or offside, so you've got to delay your reaction to see where the ball's going, like make sure it's not going to that player. So he definitely affects the play. He does. 100%. I would have, if that had been given on the field and not reviewed. I'm saying it's fair enough. The ref's got to take that opinion. There's no clear and obvious error in the refs or the linesman judgment. Like, there's nothing that VAR is showing them that they can't see in real time. No. So you've got to let it die. The mistakes will happen, but don't allow a technology to come in. And again, we're going to re-ref our games. So I remember saying earlier, like when the old letter of the law, when Rice got sent off, and I said, well, why don't we just have an AI ref the game? Yeah. Ingest the rules of the game into an AI engine, have 1,000 cameras around every Premier League ground, and just have AI referee the game because letter of the law. Now you've got refs there; they're going to make mistakes. Try and limit those mistakes if they're clear and obvious, but don't re-ref the game. That's all you say. Don't re-ref the game.
But boss man, they can't allegedly offer an AI robot 6 holidays to Saudi Arabia every year. So,
Abu Dhabi, yeah. I mean, yeah, they can't obviously, but
can't say come and have like some nice time in our servers or whatever, can they? Whereas to old Howard Webb and the boys, they can go, come on, mate, don't worry, come over here, it's all good. Come over here. Some of these games, we'll give you the good ones. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm gonna ring that bell again. Bell's being ring. Bell, bell, bell. Actually, I do. Actually, I've got a little thing, mate.
There you go.
There you go. There's the 115 bell. So yeah, again, I mean, what are you saying? Are you saying it should be a goal? Are you saying? Do you think like the ends justified the means, as in like they got to the right decision, but they should never have been there? Or are you saying it should just have been, even with VAR, they should have disallowed it?
I'm saying they got to the wrong decision because if a Liverpool player had stood on the goalie away from everybody else and done what Bernardo Silva done, I would have accepted the goal being disallowed. I would have been annoyed because I'm annoyed when any Liverpool goal gets disallowed, regardless of the fairness of it. But I don't think that you are allowed to barge somebody off the ball like he did just before the ball gets headed by somebody and then move out the way quickly and have not affected play. That is like saying that if you're driving your car and there's an oil slick on the road that you don't see and it skids and you crash into something, that like there wasn't an extenuating circumstance to what made you crash. It'd be like saying, no, you're just a terrible driver. It's not. It's that this thing happened to make that happen. Or like, if I use an even better analogy, if you're driving and a car goes like that and you have to swerve and you hit something, right? Then it's at least a little bit the other car's fault. Like, without going into detail.
Oh, I would use a better analogy. A car behind you gives you a little nudge. You lose control and you go into a tree. It's
maybe the car's fault, even if he drove off. You can't go, well, he drove off, so he didn't affect you.
He's nowhere near you when you've hit the tree. Nowhere near you, mate.
Surprising that.
Now we come up to the Liverpool game. So we have a few VAR decisions or non-decisions as it goes. So we'll go straight on. And we touched on it briefly in the Arsenal chat, but obviously we have a very similar incident to the Arsenal game. Is it tossing? The ball gets cleared up. Jota is breaking free. No one in the Chelsea half apart from Jota and Tosin. Tosin brings him down. Ref says yellow card. VAR says, I'm pretty sure there's a high bar. I can't get involved. And then they don't get involved. So I understand there are slight differences to the Saliba one. One of these just being that the ball was going more to the court, to the wing than in the middle of the goal. But that's pretty much it. My opinion was, when seeing that, it was a red card, but I understand why the ref gave a yellow, because it was really far away from the goal and the player wasn't in control of the ball. Jota wasn't in control of the ball. He was having to run onto it. So understandable yellow card. You may have a different opinion on that one, boss, but yeah, that's my opinion on that one. I don't know what about you? What you think is a red?
Okay, so my opinion on first is it can only be one of two things: either the refs are idiots and they're inept, or VAR are idiots and inept. One of the two things has to be true. When a striker runs through on goal, regardless of whether he's going to get the ball or not, I don't care with this. He's not going to get the ball. I'm not saying you can launch the ball to the goalie, and if you run past and then the player you get dragged down, that's when it should be a yellow card. Sure, absolutely, right? Because he just pulled him down and he wasn't really going anywhere, but it was a stupid foul. If there's a chance, just a chance, because it's goal scoring chance.
Opportunity, clear goal scoring opportunity, I think is the wording.
I use that language. If there's an opportunity for that player to get the ball, which in both cases, Jota and Eva Nilsson would have been able to collect the ball, regardless of whatever happens, and there wasn't other players, if you take away the tussling, that player would have been ahead of, in this case, Saliba, and in this case, Tosin. But they pulled him back. To me, it's a red card. Clear as day, no problem. I thought the same thing in the Chelsea game. I thought the same thing when I saw the Arsenal one. I was like, yeah, red card, straight away. And if the refs are going, nah, yellow card, then that is because they know that VAR will re-ref the game and they've got a safety net. And that is not the behaviour we're supposed to be breeding with VAR, is it?
It's not. I mean, I think I unfortunately this season know the rules far too well because I keep having to see them being produced on Sky. But yeah, there was two things that they said, like the player had to be in control of the ball, and it was the distance from the goal. Those applied in both the Arsenal and the. But look, for me, they both gave the same decision. So if they both give the same decision, you just kind of say, okay, that should be the decision. Like,
why they're consistently wrong?
But I would rather refs be consistently wrong across all the games, so every team have a consistently wrong decision, than being inconsistent, or VAR choosing when or not to dive in for the same incident. So that would be my. I'd rather Arsenal get a wrong decision, and then the next game are on the receiving end of that exact same wrong decision. If that's what ideal world, you want the right decision every single time, but the consistency of the decision making should be for me paramount, because that they are the people that decide directions of games. So I think we've got two different opinions on that. I mean, I think the ref followed his colleague in what he thought yellow card. It's just the difference was VAR didn't get involved in your one, and VAR got involved in the Arsenal one.
And I mean, as a result of this, I'm not saying that because this sort of thing can happen right within the challenge. Jota was spitting blood and is now out for quite some time from being pulled down, and that was it. Just so not only was it a bad tackle, he landed on him, right? But causation leads me to believe if he didn't do that, Jota wouldn't have got injured and would have ran through and maybe at least had an opportunity to score. And they said this thing on Match of the Day where it was like, yeah, when the goalie runs out and then moves backwards, he knows he's not going to get the ball. So someone else is going to get the ball, right? And usually it's the one running forwards, not the defender, because otherwise we wouldn't be talking about his fat. And in both cases, they did the same thing. I don't understand the difference. I literally cannot see the difference. They tried to randomly use Gusto as Gusto, however you say it, but he was close enough and he's fast, and maybe he could have got there. But there was a player in the Bournemouth team, the Arsenal team. Who was your left back of the day? Calafiori?
Well, the nearest one was Ben White, probably. But I've seen Ben White chase down Sane, and from being about 30 yards behind him. And you got to remember, these players, and this, we'll come on to a subject around is Ref Watch the most pointless segment on any TV program in the world. But you got to remember, a player running with the ball is, no matter how fast that player is, generally a defender is going to be able to full sprint past that player. That's why a striker is when a striker's good, they can hold them off and they keep them behind them for the whole thing. But it's, I forget what, I've just gone on a tangent now. It just annoys me. It annoys me.
Ruining the beautiful game, mate, with these stupid things. And I mean, should I quickly go through my annoyances with all the other four other or three other?
Yeah, let's talk. I mean, obviously the big one. There's a few penalty shouts. I think there was three penalty shouts that weren't that didn't turn out to be given, as in the player could take the penalty. One for Chelsea. Personally, I thought probably was a pen. Yeah, I've seen them given very, very often. No pen, no VAR. Probably the bar wasn't high enough for them to interject to Sancho. But then we had the Salah penalty, the first penalty shout. Player clearly goes in behind him. There's contact and Salah goes down, but no pen. Is that the one that you're kicking off with?
I mean, I don't even really need to kick off in a sense of start with.
No, as in starting with, not as in kicking off. Yeah.
So they're all the same to me. That we had this. There's something that's happened, and VAR has decided to not look at it twice and look at it once. So they think the Salah decision is correct, the Sancho one is correct, and the one that Curtis Jones, I mean, again, excessive force maybe, got somersaulted over the goalie through the tackle. I mean,
Sanchez has got form for that.
Yeah,
he's got form for excessive force in his tackles.
So what I'm going to say to you is this: was there excessive force in the first one? No. Was there excessive force in the second one? So Sancho, nah. Salah, nah. Sanchez, yes. Now we go back to look at the other similarities between them. Was there actual contact in the box? Yes, yes, yes. Did they make the ball? Sancho, Trent didn't make the ball. He should have trod his foot.
Yeah,
So if that's the way that it is, then that penalty. And then if Salah gets fouled in the box, mate, he goes through his back, and there's no contact on the ball, then penalty. And then Curtis Jones, I don't. I don't really want it to be given as a penalty, and I kind of agree with the decision that they got to the right decision. But there is an argument, definitely, because if otherwise we wouldn't be talking about this subjective VAR view. Why was he sent over to the screen if I don't even know what he gave the penalty for? Like, was it for excessive force? Was it? And then, if it was excessive force, shouldn't he have been sent off?
yeah. I mean, they were saying that he gave the penalty because they didn't think they got the touch of any of the ball, and he put it through his legs. And then when VAR checked it, it was a check. And I think, yeah, the one thing that I suppose that will save your annoyance that much is that Liverpool won, right? And it didn't affect the result. It may affect the goal difference at the end of the season, which last few seasons potentially had been quite important. But yeah, it's so hard. That's the problem. That's the realm we've now gone into, is that we've now have a subjective view by the ref, which I think is fine, as long as that ref is consistent in his decision making process across all the games that he has. So you can have his subjective view,
Mm-hmm.
but we've now moved that to having a subjective view in the VAR box
Yeah,
as well, and it's really what the VAR thinks is paramount. It's okay.
like a god.
We yeah. Like I'll say it, and there's no fallback because you've got the PR machine spinning.
I
But
mean,
great game from Liverpool. Thought they played superbly well. It was good to see. I mean, we had you had that conversation about some Liverpool fans kind of questioning Curtis Jones and his role in the team. He really stepped up that game and was very, very influential in midfield.
yeah,
Goal and assist. Um, I think we should move on from VAR, but let's have an honorary mention to the Southampton game. VAR getting involved in exactly the same incident on both sides. One, they don't get involved for Southampton, and they do get involved for Leicester, and give the decisions. We've got Ipswich having a blatant pen. I mean, I've seen the replays. I don't understand how that's not a pen, and how VAR again subjectively have looked at it and gone, it's not a pen. Maybe they've realised that they need a high bar on that, but all in all, one of the worst weekends for refereeing decisions. And I will say, I don't think the worst weekend of referees. I thought the Arsenal ref had a good job, and overall, I thought the Liverpool ref was okay. But it's VAR coming in, mate.
I thought the ref was terrible, had no charge of the game. And I also think that before we move on quickly, we got to mention Kudus and his mentalness at least.
Oh yeah, oh mate, but that's VAR got involved in that, but that was all kudos.
Yeah.
That was he just flipped a switch.
Yeah. Do you not think, though, that as I just bring this up, yellow card on field decision for Kudus, even though it was a blatant red card. In my opinion, both Saliba and Tosin, blatant red cards, yellow cards given. Maybe VAR is the safety net that they need, but then they get it wrong because they're relying on bloody Michael Oliver and the boys.
Yeah, maybe that is the case. Maybe this was always the natural progression of VAR to really start taking charge,
Yeah,
and coming in and
yeah.
making those decisions. But what I will say I did find hilarious was Richarlison in the incident coming in trying to be the big man and instantly getting put on the floor. I thought was absolutely hilarious. It was like something out of a cartoon or something.
What?
It was crazy.
He is a cartoon character, though. Can you imagine if he was actually good? Like, what? I
No,
mean,
I
because
don't. I don't ever want to imagine any Tottenham player being good, mate.
no, I understand, but it's just like, can you imagine, like, if he was actually good? Because people are like, "Oh, Richarlison's back," and it's like, what, a really below average striker? Question mark. Winger? Question mark. What is it?
Footballer? Question mark.
Yeah, just a weird blonde-haired Eminem wannabe running around and getting knocked out by back of Kudus's head when Kudus isn't even looking.
Let's talk proper football now, mate. I know that you were very, very impressed with old Slot's tactics against Chelsea. Um, Talk to me. What was so impressive? What did he do?
So the most impressive part about it was the flexibility and like what's the word for it? The adaptability. Obviously, Slot had. So what Slot does, and many other fans might not know this, is he goes through in fine detail loads of different options. So if they start doing this, do this and practice this. If they start doing this, then do this. So in this case, it was if Chelsea start trying to counter attack in the way they've been counter attacking teams and destroying them, we will start playing long ball instead of playing through out from the back like we normally would. We'll still do a bit of that, but we'll start lobbing it over and winning the second balls. And if you look at every good attack that we had, and if you ever look at all the penalties almost and stuff like that, it was from a long ball, right? So it was like
Yeah,
win the second balls, get Curtis Jones running in there. And the most impressive thing about that is, I don't know why people have said this, and maybe I shouldn't rant too much, but Chelsea were better than I thought, but if I'm honest with you, were blunt. Like, really blunt. They didn't do anything in the whole game. And everybody's like, wow, it was close, tight game. But that's one of our Liverpool's actually, like, performance-wise, one of our worst games of the season. And I think if they'd have scored a second, we'd have scored a third. If they'd have scored a fourth, fifth, sixth, we'd have just kept scoring one more than them. That we could always score against them. And they couldn't get enough chances against us. They had one Cole Palmer chance and the goal.
yeah. I had noticed that actually. That a lot of tactics. Well, not a lot of tactics. A lot of your play was keeper boot like ball out to Salah, and that was a lot like it was over and over again. It was like, oh, we're gonna play it over the midfield, and it's gonna go into Salah. Salah's very strong in that way. He holds off defender, and then he plays it out, and then you win the second ball. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's very good. I mean, Slot kind of obviously realised that they're very good at that pressing football because that's what their manager likes to do, that high press, and you were kind of counteracting that by going long into Salah.
Championship mentality, mate, for having a championship manager. This is what I'm telling you. He's a championship manager. And the reason that he couldn't then, because a good manager, like I guarantee if we did this against you, I guarantee Arteta would figure it out within the first half and be like, do you know what? I think they might be playing long ball. Well, we don't worry because we worked on this in the week just in case they would do that. And now, boys, set up like this. Make one sub, change this. Cool, we're in. Now we can combat it. Doesn't mean that you'll win or will win, but it just means you would try and do something about it. I didn't see what Enzo Maresca did with all of his subs. I have no idea what he did with all of his subs. He just subbed like for like, centre back, centre back, centre back, centre back, midfielder for midfielder. And all these, especially Rory Jennings, I've listened to him and he's like, oh, we were robbed. Like, understand that there are levels to this. And Enzo Maresca is levels, not just a level, levels below even Slot. And I don't even know if Slot is at the level of Arteta, Guardiola. I don't know. But what I will say is Enzo Maresca is way below that. And Chelsea are going to get found out now because Slot has done that. All of the bigger teams will play that against him. And then you will pocket Cole Palmer like Curtis Jones did because they can't get the ball anymore in the way they want to get it. And they have no plan B or a C or a D or whatever.
I think you're right. But we've discussed Chelsea before on the pod, and they played two teams now in that kind of traditional top six, right? They played Man City first game of the season, got absolutely schooled, and they now played Liverpool, and Liverpool completely blunted their attack. So
Yeah.
I think that's right. And look, maybe I'm slightly biased against Cole Palmer because I get annoyed by the comparisons and like he should start against ahead of Saka. And I was like, Saka is in different level to Cole Palmer,
Yeah.
but Cole Palmer's kind of being found out that he's not really capable of doing it against the biggest this season. Last season, I think it was that he did do it against some big clubs, but he's had two auditions this season and kind of failed in both of those against Man City and Liverpool.
We'll see what happens with Cole Palmer, because I suppose it takes us on to the next bit that we were going to talk about. Is he actually like the best player in the Premier League, like everybody keeps saying? I don't even need to talk about it anymore except for to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well, and I think if guys, if you've managed to last through our absolute rants about VAR and you're still watching and you like Cole Palmer, let us know. Let us know why. I mean, apart from his stat padding, where he scored 4 goals in one game, and I think he got 4 assists in one game. If you take those 2 games out, he's barely made a dent. He's got a couple of other goals and one other assist. He I think maybe it's his team that he's playing for. Like, Chelsea they're not going to be the best side against every side, right? So there's going to be harder games. But for me, yeah, nowhere near the best player in the league, even on form. So I think that's fine. I mean,
No,
I think we both agree. The Red Cartel agree.
Yeah,
A former Man City player is not the best player.
I can name 3 players off the top of my head that are better than him: Saka, Salah, De Bruyne, and De Bruyne's not even playing.
No, but you can probably name 3 players that are in better form than him and doing better this season than him anyway. I mean,
Just use some players, yeah, like as in Luis Diaz has basically got about the same amount of goal contributions as him. Salah's got the same, if not more, and Saka 3.
yeah,
Job
yeah,
done. And they're all better. Like, not
and
just better form, they're just better than him as well.
and none of them had a game where they scored 4 goals or a game where they got 4 assists. So, yeah, Cole Palmer, I think he definitely got more to do, but a couple of seasons time, he will be a great player when he's moved away from Chelsea.
He is really good. And when he plays for someone like Arsenal or Liverpool, then we'll tell you how good he is.
Yeah, exactly. Then if he puts on the beautiful shirt of Arsenal, I will be telling you that he's the greatest player and he's going to win the Ballon d'Or. But until that moment happens, he's average. So let's move on to I think the next kind of one is maybe a bit of a flippant one for me because I get annoyed all the time with pundits, but. After the weekend's results, have Arsenal been replaced by someone like a Villa in the title chase now?
No, but I mean, I know what you're saying, and I think if you lose to us this weekend coming up, that's like nearly nailing coffin of like winning the title. Like, it's bad, really bad. Like,
yeah, I think if we're 6 points behind Man City and 7 points behind Liverpool, even though you both have to play each other twice. So yeah, so if we lose to you, I think you're right. 7 points behind Liverpool, 6 points behind Man City. I'm not saying that Liverpool and Man City aren't going to lose 7 and 6 points respectively, because they will. You're not going to get a perfect season, but yeah, it's going to be challenging, and I think. But I said it flipping. I don't think we will. I don't think we'll lose. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, what do you reckon? Obviously, the big game coming up on the weekend, we're going to have to put our friendship aside for those 90 minutes. What do you reckon the results are going to be? Can you see an Arsenal without potentially Saka, Odegaard, and Saliba? Do you see Liverpool beating us?
if you don't have Saka, you don't have Odegaard, and you don't have Saliba, I mean, fucking hell, that's like crazy chances to beat you because they're like your three best players.
Yeah. When I said it out loud, actually, that's really. I think that'd be very hard for any team to soak up the loss of their best attacker, their best midfielder, and their best defender. In
Salah, Van Dijk, and Alisson were all out. Would I be all right with trying to beat Arsenal? Probably not. So I imagine that feels good. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say we're going to beat you because you're defensively quite good. Although, like, wasn't great against Bournemouth. Wasn't great.
we were sluggish. It was an off day. It was a real bad day at the office.
So remember that as well. Like after the international break, it's a bit sluggish, isn't it?
Yeah, I think my prediction is going to be it's going to be a goal fest, and I think it's going to be.
Really?
Yeah, I say that and then think actually Arsenal can't score goals at the moment, but I think it's going to be an end to end, and I think it could be 3-2 Arsenal, it could be 3-1 Liverpool. I can't call it, but obviously I'm gonna call an Arsenal win and say I'm going to say 3-2 Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't know. I would if I was a betting man, I'd bet on 1-1. If I go with my heart, 1-0 Liverpool.
So you think it's going to be a tight affair?
I think it's going to be a really, really, really boring game. Yeah, really boring, really slow. Nothing really happening. Both teams trying to keep possession, but you trying to be more defensively sound than you have been already because you're without those three players. You're not going to be able to create as much gilt-edged chances because those are all the players that create you your good chances. And if you score, it's going to be Gabriel from a set piece. And same for like Liverpool, except for it might be a Salah penalty. That's what I think. Genuinely, I just think we're both going to cancel each other out. It'll be a game of chess.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking about Arsenal Liverpool of a couple of seasons ago. I mean, even last season. No, the season before it was a goal fest. I think last season wasn't so much so. But yeah, I'm hoping for a big statement from Arsenal. But I do worry. I really do worry if Saka isn't back for the Shakhtar Donetsk game, and I think what we should end on, and I think this should be a new segment every week, and it's going to be the Red Cartel's Dick of the Week.
Can I do a little thing? Dick of the week, Dick of the week,
Dick of the week. It's a Dick of the week. The Red Cartel's Dick of the Week. So I don't know. I know I dropped this on you just before the pod, but my nomination for Dick of the Week is David James. What a dick! What a dick, man! Just don't save the penalties. Let the little kid that has dreamed about playing on the Anfield turf for all his short life, and he's dreamed of scoring a goal, and David James goes up and saves 2 penalties, and then laughs and really excited about it. Dick of the Week, mate, for me. Have you got a nominee?
I do have a nominee for Dick of the Week, and I'm going to say that. So I'm going to caveat this with it could almost always be Howard Webb, but
or Gary Neville.
That's who it is. Gary Neville.
It's Gary Neville. Dick of the Week. Dick of the Week. Dick of the Week. Dick of the Week.
I'm telling you that what is annoying me is that he keeps going on about this thing ever since Stick to Football, whatever, and it's nothing to do with Liverpool. Funnily enough, it's to do with Arsenal, and it keeps. It actually, you can see it. It's really annoying me. Like he keeps going. Well, Arsenal need to figure out how to beat teams with 10 men. Why? Who's done that in the past? And when in the Premier League have people been drawing or losing and gone down to 10 men and gone, well, we've got to win this game? No one's ever done that unless it was in a cup competition. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Because I wouldn't have done that, Paula, would you?
No, I mean just out of the fact that Gary Neville, if we allow Gary Neville to win the trophy, He's going to win it every week. I'm going to give it. I'm going to make an executive decision and award the first ever Dick of the Week, Red Cartel's Dick of the Week trophy to David James for being a dick against a little kid.
Yeah. So a little.
Well done, David James. Your award is in the post.
So not only that, he's now got 3 things that he is absolutely ridiculously blamed for. One, his nickname Calamity. Letting in loads of goals. Could have let in a couple of goals for a kid, though, couldn't he? Second thing, the white Gucci suits.
Oh, the Spice Boys, mate. The Spice Boys. Any younger viewers will not know the Spice Boys, but they were the 97 Liverpool FA Cup team.
And the third thing, remember that France game? Where randomly David James just decided to dive the wrong way for a into like 2001, 2002, and Thierry Henry, the last minute penalty. I don't know if you remember it. I'll never forgive him for that. Never forgive him for that. He just ran out the goal and took Henry out, and he dived the wrong way for the free kick. Like, you know, when you get beat at the near.
I do. We lost 2-1 to France. I vividly remember it because we were 1-0 up and they brought on Emil Heskey. And I said to my dad at the time, I said, "Oh, we've lost this 2-1. Heskey's on." And it was it. But yeah, well done, David James. We appreciate your service and being the outstanding nomination for Dick of the Week. So thanks very much, David James.
Cheers, mate.
But yeah, I think that's everything. I think we could have talked for another hour, but needs must. Let's end the pod here, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed this one, Leon, look forward to catching up next week on the Red Cartel podcast.
Yeah, nice one. See you later, everyone.
Bye, everyone.